Hello and welcome to another artist conversation hosted by Sheba Arts as part of our Celebrating Diversity Festival. I'm joined today by Emmanuel Bajiiji, an applied storyteller, actor, writer and director for stage and screen. Hello Emmanuel, thank you for joining us today.
Hello, thank you. So yeah.
For the Celebrating Diversity Festival, you've created a really powerful piece of poetry film called The Why, which we'll be putting online later today. Could you tell me a bit about the issues and the ideas that you've explored in the piece?
I think the issues that were going on in life before lockdown and then during lockdown, they made me explore the idea of the resilience of the human spirit, the resilience of the human mind. Because in that time, I woke up looking on the streets with human beings wearing muzzles like it's Hiroshima and Nagasaki with this thing going on. And I was like, people queuing, people shopping. And I'm like, what if actually what we fear actually happened? How do we deal with it? I looked at this, it's not an enemy that I can see, it's an invisible enemy. The enemy could be anywhere. The enemy could be on me, or not on the thing that I avoided, but actually on the next thing I'm gonna trust. So I was like, I looked back in life and I was like, sometimes really life is so tough. I started thinking of those who are alone, those who don't have anybody, those who can't move. And I started wondering of all these moments when we are really down and hope is gone. And in our hearts, there's that emptiness, like the zero, the hole in the letter O, in the word hope. And I'm like, what do you do? Do you just give up and you say, after all, COVID is gonna take me? After all, there ain't no future here? You still go on. And it's those things that I wanted to think about and find. And if I could share with everybody what makes me carry on, maybe it could feed in those moments when they're giving up and they say, it ain't over until it's over, you know? It's not done until when it's done. So it was about really how it's really encouraging the people to realize you're stronger than you think you are.
Cool.
I don't know, is that?
Yeah, that's great, yeah. The piece really, like you say, it does like capture those challenges of lockdown and the way that a lot of people's mental health was really impacted by being inside and being away from everyone for so long and being scared. How were you able to stay creative and obviously create this piece and kind of keep writing and keep making during lockdown?
I think in lockdown, I looked at the hopelessness of it, and it gave me this realization of just be still. I had this time I had a chance not to worry about anything. I wasn't running after something. Nothing was happening out there, but what was happening was within me. As a creative person, I had to get back in tune with myself. And I asked myself, now that I'm locked away here, the question is, how have I been living? And in that still moment, when I have no desire to do anything, I became creative. Thoughts started coming to me because I was looking at the world at a different perspective. A perspective of not chasing, but a perspective of observing. And the fact that the world was vast and empty. I had never looked, places that were filled were empty. And to fill those places, I had to be creative. To deal with those moments, I had to be creative. So in a way, for me, the emptiness, I used to walk twice a day, in the morning and in the evening. And I would pass all these familiar places that have changed face. The umbrellas are down, The chairs are not sat on. The human beings don't move. The hustle and bustle is gone. People are scared of the air around them. I was scared of myself. I can't touch my face. And I'm like, oh, forget about it. So in a way, for me, that moment of realizing I can't feel what I can't see, but I've got to be responsible, made me, I was okay. I kind of came to like the lockdown. I embraced my solitude to be alive. Yeah. So for me, that led to my creativity.
Nice. Yeah, you're so right in that. I find a lot of the time that when I'm trying to write or like really like trying to do a project, then you can't do it. And that a lot of the time, like stillness and like space then allows your ideas or your like creative thoughts to come a lot easier. So when lockdown hopefully does become over, when it does get lifted, what are your hopes as an artist for a world after COVID?
I hate to be the bearer of bad news. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's definitely... I can tell you the future now. The future is bright. Don't worry about it. The future is bright. I think my hopes for lockdown, I'm curious. I'm excited to see how people have changed, the evolution of the human mind, how we're gonna be dealing with each other. Because during COVID, it brought out the negative side of in us when we were social distancing. Like I used to find myself saying, do you mind? Do I mind what? My social distance. No, but it's actually, what I'm looking at is, I know it's gonna bring new ways of seeing. And that is gonna inform creativity so much, because we've always, this is a great time that creativity has had to change, because somehow we've been reading books written by some of them written by dead people, and some of them looking at creativity in its original form or the expected form, but actually it's given us a chance to look, to think differently, to adapt ourselves. And once we bring lockdown into the lifted space, it's gonna create another dimension, another layer to creativity. And also for me, it has also been an opportunity to show that actually, as creative people, we find ourselves just existing on the small funding and the traditional means. But actually now we've seen that our creative methods are the ones that kept the world going. So how can we apply our creativity into the wider market, the corporate market, the business industry, science, and everything, mental health? Because creativity is now going to meet even better. Creativity is going to meet technology, science, politics, and everything else. Because IE can change so many things. Robot can replace many things, but they can never replace a creative mind. So this is great. I'm looking forward to using, as a screen person, as a person who's interested in the moving image, the lens, sound, voiceovers and the rest. It is how to bring all those elements together to feed into each other to create a new experience that now won't look disorientating and unfamiliar, but actually familiar, that people can respond to it. I think that is the hope that I have for lockdown, but also hugging people, and sitting in a theater space. Yeah. But creatively, those are inspiring.
Definitely, yeah. I agree with what you're saying about how the adaptions that came from like COVID, how they can carry on afterwards and maybe also meet with the live work and how that can create something pretty cool. Hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because adversity creates new solutions. Yeah. Crisis creates destination of some sort. So definitely there is change in me as a person. I've become more loving, you know. You can't love humans until they are gone, until when you can't see them. So the love has grown even bigger. You can't realize how much you miss people.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Famous phrase.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. My heart has gone fonder for the artists and just even the streets, you know, bumping into a familiar face and say hello. And after COVID, we'll be checking, we won't be saying, have you sanitized? These days, it's like, when you meet somebody, it's like, do you have it?
Yeah.
No. Okay. You don't say, but you look at them and you're like, do you have it? But you know, you're like, hey, hi, you look healthy. I can't see you sniffling. Okay, I'll say 2 more words. All right, okay, I can keep 2 meters. But you know, I want to see, are we going to become normal creatively? How can we social distance in a workshop? But I'm so glad now I'm thinking of social disco, not as a music, but social disco as a dance. That has become not social distancing, but more. We will embrace social disco after lockdown.
Yeah, definitely. I think there could be so much. I was thinking this the other day about how we do rehearsals and live things, and like, I think you could definitely play with that space a bit, that like 2 meter thing. It's like, how can we like, how can we be together in a space but always stay that distance apart? I think you could have fun with it. I like the social disco. I think that's a great word.
Yeah. I've been having social disco. I think I was going on the supermarket and there was these 2 girls behind me, and we were stood in the queue for quite a while, and I got bored, so I social distanced and I started talking to them, and I'm like, oh, actually, you know what? You look like you party. Everything is gone virtual. I've created a virtual nightclub. They were like, really? And I'm like, yeah. And before I could experiment with my creativity during lockdown about a virtual nightclub and how it works, the guy at Tesco told me, come in, please. And I'm like, no. But, you know, it made me creative. You know, how can you have social disco, social distancing, you know?
Yeah.
It's great because...
Yeah, it's interesting. Great. Well, thank you so much for talking to me, Emmanuel. We'll be putting your piece up today so everyone can check it out, the why. But yeah, thanks for joining me for...
Fantastic. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Enjoy the rest of your day.